Hello there. My name is Maureen with my co-host Corey. We are The Real Guys, and this is The Real Show with two ears. We're coming at you today. It is a very special edition of The Real Show for a very special event indeed. As always, I'm accompanied by my co-host Corey. How are you doing today, Corey?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Great. And perhaps you could let the listener in on what we're going to be doing today.
So today we are covering WrestleMania, specifically Night 1.
Night one
First
of
night.
WrestleMania 38. It is the
Exactly.
wrestling extravaganza, the pro wrestling extravaganza by the biggest wrestling company in the world. It's the most stupendous, yes, stupendous two-night event in WrestleMania history, apparently. So we're thinking out the word. They've marketed it as the most stupendous. Apparently, because you don't say the word stupendous a lot in day-to-day life.
I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
It's not an everyday word, stupendous. So
Hmm.
they've said stupendous. They've had Pat McAfee break out the dictionary, break out the thesaurus, and find stupendous. It's coming to you from Arlington, Texas, and
It is.
the AT&T Stadium from April 2nd to April 3rd. We're only a bit far behind.
Yeah, not too far.
The attendance on night one was 77,899 people. It's a combined attendance of what? This is a big number. It's got 6 digits.
Oh, go on.
It's I think it's 100,000. No,
Yep.
it's 156,352 is the combined number. I don't know how you say it. I think it's 100,050. No, it's. I'm not going to attempt it. I'm not going to.
Wait, what was it? 156 what?
156,352.
156,352.
Oh wow, you're amazing.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say that on the article I'm looking at, there's a little bracket, and the little bracket says disputed next to that number.
I mean, I think
we
most
don't
of our
know.
pay-per-views are always disputed with attendance,
Yeah,
to be honest.
we don't know how many there are. But it's the biggest of the big four of WWE pay-per-views.
Yes.
The other three being Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series.
Correct.
And it's the mid-year, and it's booked as the biggest one, right? It's the biggest one. Everyone loves WrestleMania. It's the longest running annual professional wrestling event in history, and there's like a Mania season, isn't there? It's like mid-March to mid-April. Everyone sort of does their events in wherever WrestleMania is. It's like a big it's like a big it's like Christmas, isn't it?
Correct, to the point where even WWE are going to try and keep it going with now WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah,
Which,
they're gonna.
that's what we want.
So, but let's look through the matches. Let's look through the people. Let's look through the event. There was no host this year.
There was not.
Last year in Texas, it was hosted by I want to say Titus O'Neil.
It was.
And the Hulkster Hulk Hogan.
It wasn't exactly.
To sort of mixed acclaim.
Yes.
But I think Titus always does very well.
That's kind of his thing.
Titus was the highlight for me.
Yeah, I mean that's his thing. He's kind of just seems like he goes to like different places, and he's more of an ambassador than a in-ring wrestler.
Which I feel like that's great for him. That's a really good role because he's really personable. He's really charismatic.
He is.
Titus World Slide. He's great. He's fantastic. Okay,
that's like probably 4 or 5 years ago now or something.
Oh, everyone's doing it. That's his legacy, though, isn't it? No one's ever going to stop talking about that. So
True.
let's go into WrestleMania. This is Saturday. This is a Saturday pay-per-view.
Yes, which is preferable.
It is. This is WrestleMania Saturday, and it opens up with there's a video package by Mark. I've got my notes up here. Video package by Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
And he's going, it's the most stupendous WrestleMania ever. All right, okay, Mark Wahlberg. It sounds like it's Transformers. He's making it sound like it's Transformers, you know. Oh, we're going to have Optimus Prime and Megatron battling in a wrestling ring. So, it's the way they shot very well. The editing packages, the editors, whatever they're getting paid, it's not enough. It's the editors for these events, absolutely amazing. I remember, in January, they had the day one pay-per-view or whatever.
Yes.
And the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, came down with coronavirus and wasn't able to attend.
Correct.
So they had to move Brock Lesnar, who was his challenger, into the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Championship with Big E.
Yes.
And they had half an hour to edit a package, and it looked fantastic. Because they literally announced it on the pre-show half an hour in, and they had half an hour to edit that package, and it was phenomenal.
I mean, the point packages are good. I mean, it's a good thing they were good because you saw about 20 of them.
Yeah, you see, throughout the night, every match got a promo package. Every match got a video. Every match got a package of everything. Of their entire, it's like they call it like the road to the match between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, for instance. Anyway, because it's like the road to WrestleMania. That's what they always say, isn't it? Exactly. They say it's the road to WrestleMania. We're going to stop at Elimination Chamber and Fastlane sometimes, but not often. So the pay-per-view opens with the Usos, the Uso brothers, Jay and Jimmy Uso, defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Shinsuke Nakamura, formerly King Nakamura, and Rick Boogs, who is his sort of lead guitarist, manager sometimes.
Well, he was his manager. He was his hype man.
His friend is hype man. Yeah, that's the good word. His hype man, Rick Boogs. Who basically comes out with an electric guitar and plays his theme tune, and Nakamura sort of dances out and does his moves. So,
exactly. And now he's at WrestleMania was his tag team partner.
Yes.
Maybe a little while before he ends up coming back.
We see him again. Yeah, well, let's get into this. Well, what happens in the match is it's a good tag match up until I want to say this happens quite early.
It is quite early.
Match. Right. But that's what I put here. I put it happens quite early. So Shinsuke and Rick Boogs, they're holding their own against the tag team champions until Rick Boogs sort of takes a fall.
Yes.
And we realise afterwards that he sort of, was it his ACL?
Yes, I believe so.
It may have been. He may have torn his ACL in his right knee after trying to lift up both guys on his shoulders, and he sort of never really recovered after that. No. And then Nakamura attempted the Kinshasa on Jay, but then Jay counted it. He got out, and they did the Uso splash. Got a 2 count, but in the end, it was they did the 1D from the Devon Dudley and the Dudley Bros, whatever their name is.
There you go. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, they've been doing like the 3D, the 1D recently, right?
They have.
And they performed the double team maneuver and on Nakamura and retained the title.
They did.
So our hearts go out to Rick Boogs. Hopefully, he gets back soon.
I mean, that's
best of health.
It's you can't really talk much about this one because it didn't really end how it was supposed to.
No, they kind of had to work on the fly, which I guess is a testament to the Usos, really, for their quick thinking and managing to work the match sort of with one man, really. And we know Shinsuke can go. Every man on the earth knows that Shinsuke can go, and how amazing of a talent Shinsuke Nakamura is.
Yeah. So. It's also interesting that, I mean, I assume the Usos would have won the match anyway.
Yeah, I think so. But they're part of a stable called the Bloodline, who are Roman Reigns, who was the Universal Champion, and the Usos, who are the SmackDown Champion. They're all their cousins, I believe. So they're sort of a stable together, and they run SmackDown. They're like the dominant team. So I don't think they would have lost anyway.
But I don't know. It would have been good for Boogs get his first WrestleMania.
First WrestleMania,
WrestleMania moment there. Double, either Samoan drop or whatever he's going for. But
yeah,
I think he was going to try and not a deadlift. What is it? Like power lift from
deadlift power slam or something.
I think he's going to try and get them literally both in the air, arms straight up with his head, and then just shoot him.
Oh right, like gorilla press.
Yeah, but he's just like leg buckled.
So next we have Drew McIntyre, the Scottish warrior, the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, against formerly Baron Corbin, formerly King Corbin,
yes,
formerly Sad Corbin,
correct,
Happy Corbin,
yes,
which is a long and winding tale of Baron Corbin losing all his money and being a sad man, going around asking people for money and getting ketchup on his shirt, and unable to feed his kids and whatever, and losing his house, losing his car, losing his job, and everything, and losing his wife. And then he goes to Vegas. He wins loads of money at Vegas, and he becomes Happy Corbin.
Exactly.
Because he wears happy big suits, big flamboyant suits, and big hats. He goes around in a Rolls Royce and a BMW and a fancy cars, and he's been accompanied recently by formerly Riddick Moss, Madcap Moss, who is. I initially thought when I heard his name, I thought it was Mad Cat Moss, but no, it's Madcap Moss, who previously on the last SmackDown won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
He did, which I mean, good luck to him. It never really seems to do anything, but.
Or the Andrew the Giant Battle Royal, as they put on the pre-show. There was a typo there. But Madcap Moss is like he's like Happy Corbin's hype man. He's like a joke
pretty much
kind of character. They're like comic relief. Madcap Moss tells awful jokes, and Happy Corbin laughs his head off at them. So, the big crux here is recently it was discovered that Baron Corbin's finishing move, the End of Days, has never been kicked out of.
No. Or at least not on the main roster, anyway.
Not on the main roster. Someone discovered that. Some interviewer discovered that. Told Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin's like, "Oh, that's cool. I'd like to see that carry on." You know. And what do they do here? The first time Baron Corbin lands the End of Days, boom, 1, 2, McIntyre kicks out of it.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole loses his mind. Goes, "Oh, he kicked out of the End of Days. No one has ever done that." And I'm just like, well, that's ruined the mystique, hasn't it? Anyway.
It's one of the things. It always happens though. It's any kind of streak will just get broken for no reason.
Sometimes, well, it's the fact they brought it up. I remember if they hadn't brought it up, if that guy, whoever that interviewer is, hadn't brought up the fact no one has ever kicked out, they wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have happened. So
it reminds me of, and this is probably actually a good segue because I don't think we mentioned this on a real show considering it's been like I think about a month or so. I was watching a story recently. Only one person ever has kicked out of the Razor's Edge.
And who's that?
Crush.
Oh.
Randomly. It's not who you would expect because Scott Hall would only ever hit it if it was going to end the match. He wouldn't hit it unless it was ending it because he wanted finishes to be protected. It was the finish.
Yeah, of course.
And it kind of reminds me of that. It's like whenever he hits it, you know it's done. It's finished. Cool.
Yeah.
It's wrapped up. And I get it. It's Drew. I'm fine. It's not like it's Cedric.
Yeah.
Like Cedric, but he's kind of a no man's land currently.
So in the climax of the match, it was Madcap Moss who spelled doom for Corbin. He accidentally sort of distracted him, got his attention, and then McIntyre ran in with the Claymore kick.
Yes.
I don't remember if he did the count or not, but I don't really know why he does the count. Because that's basically telling. It's like when Randy Orton slaps his fist on the mat, telling him he's going to do an RKO. Like that's when you get out of the way.
I mean, yeah.
When he starts counting, that's when you know to dodge. But anyway, McIntyre runs in with the Claymore kick, boom to the head, 1, 2, 3, and that's all she wrote.
It is.
Then this is the fun bit. McIntyre pulls out his sword.
Yes.
Gets out his great sword, Angela, which is named after his mother, I believe.
Yep.
And gets out his huge sword because he's like a Scottish warrior. He's like Braveheart, you know.
Exactly. Gifted to him by his friend Sheamus.
Yes. He pulls out his huge great sword. He's sort of taunting Madcap Moss with it, pointing the sword at him like, you wanna come in here and I'm gonna slash you up, you know.
Yeah.
And Madcap Moss is like, oh, I don't want to do it, but he gets up on the apron, and McIntyre swings the sword, bang, cuts like 2 of the ropes in half, or cuts one of the ropes in half.
He gets the first 2 ropes in half.
Gets the first 2 ropes just down straight, and the sort of the buckles sort of collapse.
Yeah.
And then he's standing there like, oh, you know, it's like Chekhov's sword. Like he's gonna do. I want one day someone will get impaled.
Do you know what I thought?
Showing that sword.
Do you know what I thought was going to happen?
What?
It's just showing how British I am. I thought for some reason he was going to knight him with the sword. I thought this is going to anoint him and put it over his shoulders.
Are we called Sir Moss? No.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, but they should do something with it. Like I know that's a good payoff for the sword. Like, oh, he breaks the ring with the sword. Okay. I know he chops tables in half with it and stuff.
If they did this like 6 months earlier when the Thunderdome was still a thing, it would be easy because you could edit it because there's no crowd.
Or we could chop the screen in half.
Or that. You could do something where he hits someone with a sword because you just cut it. You pre-record.
Right.
They can't do that now unless it's a backstage segment.
No. Then we had to cut away because obviously they have to fix the ring.
Yes.
Because Drew McIntyre just completely destroyed the ring by chopping the ropes in half with his big.
Which they tried their best to do, except the bottom rope was wonky.
Yeah, with his broadsword. But in the third match, it's the Mysterios, Rey and Dom Mysterio. Dominic is the tall son of small Rey Mysterio.
Well, tall for Rey's son.
Tall for Rey's size. We know Rey's short, but Dom is just a regular size. I think Dom's just regular size.
I think Dom's about 5'11".
Yeah. Dom's just regular man sized. That's what makes Rey Mysterio look small. Anyway, it's Rey and Dom, the Mysterios, taking on The Miz. We like The Miz and his partner Logan Paul. Yes, you heard me right. Logan Paul, YouTube boxing sensation and avid forest adventurer. Logan Paul. He's going to be his tag team partner here. Now, the build to this has been, let's say, less than stellar. It's been a lot of The Miz and Logan Paul sort of sitting in directors' chairs on their joint talk shows and laughing at Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, and they've all been hitting skull-crushing finales on everyone. Correct. Anyway, throughout the match, Logan Paul is sort of taunting Rey and Dominic by doing a lot of Eddie Guerrero moves.
He is.
He does the three amigos, the three suplexes. He does the frog splash. He does. He's actually not that bad, which is not the shocking thing.
Yes.
The fact that he's like Bad Bunny, like you know how Bad Bunny came in and was actually really good. Like he did a Canadian Destroyer on the outside. Like he was doing all these cool moves with John Morrison stuff, and we know that was probably mostly John Morrison, but the effect was still there.
Yes.
And the effect is still here with Logan Paul doing loads of cool stuff with Rey Mysterio. So when Rey Mysterio's a vet, he knows how to handle someone who's not been in the ring for a while. So it'll make him look good, especially. So yeah, Logan Paul didn't look too bad. So it's Logan Paul and The Miz. They're putting the boots to the Mysterios. They come back. They do their joint frog splashes, Rey and Dominic on Paul, but then Miz sort of tags himself in and does a quick skull crushing finale on Rey to get 1, 2, 3 and win the match. So and then after the match, they're holding their hands up. They're victorious. Rey and Dominic are like, "Oh, you beat us!" Oh, they're skulking off to the back. And Miz is holding up the hand of Logan Paul, and then he just skull crushing finales him. He hits him with the move, and the crowd goes nuts.
Yeah,
the crowd goes wild seeing Logan Paul laid out by tag team partner The Miz, right? And The Miz does like a face turn.
I mean,
from this.
Kind of.
I think was that the intention? Maybe that was the intention.
I've got a feeling it isn't. I've got a feeling he'll be back on Raw doing the same old stuff.
Yeah, of course, but I feel like it was Miz sort of out healing Logan Paul.
I feel like it was that, and it's probably just because he's just gone, right, cool, you've done what you needed to now, don't need to anymore.
Yeah, Logan Paul's not going to be coming back for a bit.
Yeah, so it's him getting written off TV.
Yeah, written off by Miz. Miz is going to out heal him. Like, you think you can out heal me, Logan Paul? I'm the biggest bad here. So he takes him down as well. There you go. And all the while, I'm going to say that let's give the hand to the commentary here. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are fantastic on SmackDown. And we've got Jimmy Smith for Raw and Corey and Byron Saxton. So
I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't paying attention. I don't watch Raw.
Right.
I didn't know who Jimmy Smith was until this pay-per-view.
Oh, do you not?
No.
Jimmy Smith, he's done some, I think he's done like UFC or Bellator.
I looked him up in the pay-per-view. He's done MMA, but I think this is the first pay-per-view he's done because I don't think. I think this is the first time I've seen him.
I think he did SummerSlam, didn't he? Last time.
Oh, did he?
I think he does the Raw. I think he just does Raw.
That's what I mean. I think he just does Raw.
Oh.
He might have done SummerSlam. I might have.
Right. Okay. Maybe
not realised who he was.
He's like Raw's play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
He replaced that guy with a name I don't know how to pronounce, who was there for like a month. So anyway, next match.
I can't remember either.
Next we have Stephanie McMahon just comes out randomly and says, "Thank you all for being here. Hello."
Oh yeah.
And then she says, "Here's Gabriel Stevenson," and then Gabriel Stevenson comes out.
I forgot this happened.
Yeah, Olympic gold medalist wrestler Gabriel Stevenson. He's going to join the Raw roster at some point. We don't know when.
Yeah,
he was in the draft. He was in the draft last year.
That's what I was going to say. He's turned up already.
He got drafted. When's he going to do something apart from just come out and say hello?
Fact, he did not get drafted with another female wrestler. That also hasn't. I swear he got drafted with someone else. I swear there's two of them.
I don't know.
Unless someone else came out with him but didn't get drafted.
I can't really answer that. I know that Gabriel Stevenson did get drafted to Raw, but he's not done anything. So we don't know. But next we have the fourth match of the night. It's the man, Big Time Becky Lynch, defending the Raw Women's Championship against Bianca Belair at the EST. So now we know, constant listeners to the show will know Corey's somewhat contempt for Bianca Belair. Would you call it contempt?
It's contempt for how she is. What's the word?
You got nothing against her sort of athletic ability or
No,
her in-ring work.
It's how she is sometimes portrayed by the
Right.
commentary and the product.
Right, but do you think did this turn her around in your mind?
No.
Right, okay.
Because
that's all there is then. Goodbye, folks. See ya. Listen to you next week.
No, because I've never doubted the fact that she's good at what she does and she can put on an exciting match. Cool. My issue is and again, that's why I mentioned commentary, is the fact that all the time commentary is like, oh, look how strong she is, look how dumb. But it's like she's picked up Otis. We've seen this happen already. She had Otis on her
we
back.
know.
Exactly. It's like picking up Becky Lynch or whoever it is isn't that big, because we've seen her pick up people who are big already. I don't know, picking up Otis is a bit different because like a piggyback situation, but still.
Yeah.
I like what she is, but it's almost like it's, oh, look at this. It's like, yeah, but that's what I expect when I see her.
We know she can do that.
Yeah.
So then this was a good match. Let's not put aside how good of a match this was. This was a great competitive athletic contest between these two women.
Mm-hmm.
And the feud is built since SummerSlam of last year as well.
Yes.
It's built since Becky returned at SummerSlam in the place of Sasha Banks and won the SmackDown Women's Championship, which Bianca had held for quite a while.
Yeah.
And she defeated people like Sasha and Bayley and the Horsewomen.
Mm-hmm.
And Becky comes out and wins it in like 26 seconds with one move. And it's a shock, and everyone's shocked. And then eventually it turned to sort of hate towards Becky, who became the heel. And Bianca sort of had to redeem herself through SmackDown and Raw by defeating quite a few people and winning Elimination Chamber just this year, right? Just earlier this year. So it's about Bianca. She's been fighting for opportunities. She's been fighting for chances against Becky. And every time Becky says, "Oh no, you're not good enough. You need to go back to." That's an awful Becky Lynch. That sounds more Scottish than Irish.
It does.
I'm not going to do it. She says, "Oh, you're not good enough. You need to go back to the back of the line. I beat you in 26 seconds. I'm the man. I'm the big time, Bex. You can't work at the big time. You're not like me, right?" So Becky has a decent range. She manages to defend against Sasha and Bianca at like Super Showdown or something like that, and then she defends against like Doudrop and Liv Morgan a couple of times.
Yes.
And she's having a good program, and all the while Bianca's sort of sitting in the background a bit, just trying to get by and trying to do better and improve so that she can get back to the top of the mountain and face Becky again. Right? So it's a redemption arc for her. It's a redemption story for her, and it comes to a head here at WrestleMania. As we said before, fantastic match. They punk us right at the start. They do it again. Lynch does that one move again in the first 20 seconds, the manhandle slam on Bianca, and she gets a 2 count.
She does.
Everyone's like, "Oh, they almost did it. They almost did it to us again." And Bianca sold that like death, and that's why I thought, "Oh my God, they're going to do it again." That's why, for a split second, it was in my head, and I thought, "Oh, they'll have a kick, won't they?"
Now, I haven't gone back and rewatched any of Mania, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the one thing about this match that I remember bugging me a little bit. Is one, I like the spot where it's like, okay, cool, manhandle slam, 2 count.
Mm.
My only issue is that now, technically, she's already gotten a 2 count on Bianca. So now Bianca essentially now has to always wait until 2. She's already hurt enough to get a 2 count.
2. Yeah, so, I think that as well.
Now it's like, surely like one more finish or a couple of big moves and she's done now, because she's already been hit with a move and she's already at a 2 count.
Now, that's why I think that's why people kick out at 1 for like for the early few minutes of the match.
Also,
until you're doing bigger stuff, then you start kicking at 2.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't half of this match just like roll-ups and pinfalls?
Well, Becky was pulling out a lot of stuff she's not ever done before. She did like a Molly go round. She did like new stuff she's not done, or things she's done in like live shows and things like that.
Yes.
Against Bianca, who was pulling out all of her sort of power moves and things like that, vertical suplexes, that sort of stuff. And Lynch was going for the disarmer, her patented submission on Bianca, and Bianca was reaching the ropes. Bianca did it on Becky, which sort of mirrored the Shayna Baszler match from WrestleMania 36, I thought, weirdly.
Yes.
Because they were like trading moves. They're like doing each other's moves, which is an often face-heel thing to do. But they were doing each other's moves, and outside the ring, Becky Lynch does a manhandle slam on the stairs on Bianca, and Bianca sold that pretty greatly. Lynch then sort of entered the ring hoping for a count out if Bianca couldn't get back in the ring. But then Bianca got back in the ring anyway, and they were fighting near the turnbuckle or something like that. They were fighting near the turnbuckle, pushing each other around. Then Belair gets Lynch up on her shoulders, hits the KOD, the Kiss of Death, boom, Burning Hammer, 1, 2, 3. We've got a new Raw Women's Champion. It's Bianca Belair.
Yes.
A great celebration. Bianca looked great. Her gear was pretty cool. I know she makes her own gear, so I really like the sort of black and red. It really fits her. And she's got the sort of shadows of red in her braid. Entrance. Let's not talk about her entrance. Now we know there's a big entrance coming in a minute, but that entrance was great with the band and stuff. He was playing a band. She's in sort of the regalia. It was great to see.
This is a good point. Did anyone else have any entrances that we've mentioned already? Anyone else has come out?
Well, someone's about to have a bit of a big entrance.
I know someone else has. Has anyone?
Right.
I don't think anyone else has. Actually, to be fair.
I've just skipped over this. Are we going to rate these matches?
That is a good question.
Should we? Well, we're too far in it now, I think, to not rate them.
I mean,
out of 10, I don't know.
How many matches have we done? We've done 4.
We've done 4. Should we just have a pause and just rate them while we as far as we go? We've only got 2 matches left.
Yeah, why
not?
No,
3. Sorry.
3. Yeah, why not?
Right. Uso, sorry, we'll have a little bit of a pause. Uso, you can put some like elevator music on this while we talk. Usos and Nakamura, I say 7, probably higher if Boots get injured, but that wasn't his fault.
I was going to say about a 6.5.
It's right.
But it wouldn't higher.
Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin, 5.
Yeah,
I know
6.
Drew's a good
it
talent,
wasn't
but
great.
I feel like the feud's dragged on a bit too much for the match.
It should have. As much as I love Corbin, it should have ended quicker.
Yeah. Ray and Dominic and The Miz and Paul, 5 again. Sorry.
I'll go 6.
6. Yeah.
It surprised me a little bit.
Okay. Let's not rate that segment. That doesn't deserve rating.
Nope.
Becky and Bianca, I'm going to give it an 8.
I was going to go 7.5.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Now, next,
yes.
It's Seth freaking Rollins coming out. Burn it down.
Yep.
It's Seth freaking Rollins, and now that's not his name is Seth Rollins, but he's called Seth freaking Rollins.
Yes.
And that's what he started calling himself. And he's the architect, he's the visionary, he's the Monday Night Messiah, he's all those things. He walks out, he's got a big entrance as well. He's in a big blue coat and a big blue sort of cape. He comes out in his gear, and the entire storyline has been he's not had a match at WrestleMania.
No.
And he feels like he is WrestleMania caliber. He's been coming to Vince McMahon's office and saying, Vince, I need a match at WrestleMania. I'm one of the best talents you've got. I'm Seth freaking Rollins. I deserve a match. And every time Vince is like, oh, I don't know what I can do for you, sir. I've got nobody. I don't know. I can give you a match, right? And by the way, stellar Vince McMahon impression. But so everyone can do it. If you can't do a Vince McMahon impression, I don't know if you can do impressions at all, to be honest. Because his voice is too impressionable to not be able to do an impression. And Cody Rhodes came back at WrestleMania. Now, we could probably spend an entire 45, 50 minutes talking about this just in itself. But we'll get to the match, shall we? That's what we're all here for.
Yes.
And it was a good match. It was these guys that we know how good these guys are. We know how much they can go, and we know how talented they are.
Exactly.
So
I mean, to be fair, is it longer? Yeah, it's the longest match of the night, which I guess is understandable.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't. I'm surprised it was on night 1. In all honesty, I thought it would milk it a bit more and literally give the fans the longest time to wait for it.
Oh,
but no, it was good. It was a solid match. There's references to, Stardust references in there.
Stardust references. There's an Ocarina of Time reference. Thank you, Corey Graves.
There is.
There's, the prodigal son has returned. He's undeniable, as they say. It's Cody Rhodes. Here he comes, coming down the ramp, and he's in the ring. And there's like that apprehensive moment. It's like, oh, it's Cody Rhodes. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna say? And he doesn't say much. He leaves that for the Raw afterwards. But maybe we'll cover that in our night 2 video we'll do afterwards. But
yeah, I mean, it was also, to be fair, before I mentioned this, there was a split second as well before he came out where I know that at least I had it in my head, and I think a couple of people that I've spoken to had it in their head. When just before Cody Rhodes came out, Seth's in the ring and waiting, then like all the pyro went off, and it was like, and then the whole lights came off, and for like 5 seconds, you're just in pitch black with like everyone's flashlights on, and I'm heading going, this looks eerily familiar. I'm like, I'm like, it won't be the Fiend, but I'm like, this looks eerily familiar. And then his music starts. I'm like, okay.
And then I think people knew I heard some people say, "Oh, it was the pyro that told us it was Cody." You know, Cody needs his pyro.
I mean, yes, the Fiend wouldn't have massive pyro going off before he comes out.
The Fiend wouldn't have huge fireworks, but it was, and the match is pretty amazing. You know, it was a great back and forth competitive match. People are pulling off moonsaults. People are pulling off, great suplexes. Cody Rhodes does the Stardust, flip over hand taunt, and he does the Rollins pulls out the pedigree, gets a 2 count. Cody Rhodes does a crossroads, but as we know, in AEW, a crossroads will never finish a match. One will never finish a match.
No.
He has to do multiple. So he does one crossroads. He gets a 2 count. He does another one. He does another one. He does the bionic elbow as a tribute to Dusty Rhodes' father, one of the greatest legends in all of pro wrestling. He does a bionic elbow. He does a third crossroads. Bang, nails him. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes is your winner. And what a great return. Fantastic match. 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it.
It's high for me. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 as well. It's my match of the night. Possibly, potentially match of both nights, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it gets that distinction. I'd happily say it's the match of the night, of course. It's fantastic. And it's not only Cody's return, and which is a huge event in itself,
yes,
but it's also an amazing match. Really awesome. Next, we have, it's the penultimate match, and it's the next one. Weird, they put the 2 women's titles on the same night.
I was thinking this. I was thinking surely it'd be one night, one the other one.
Yeah, that's what they did last time. That's what they did WrestleMania 37.
Yep.
But no, they put the 2 women's titles on the same night, which I thought was strange. It's Charlotte Flair, another sort of second generation wrestler, the daughter of Ric Flair, and against Ronda Rousey, famous UFC and MMA fighter Ronda Rousey, who the winner of the Royal Rumble. Bear in mind,
it was
the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. She challenged. You can challenge for any title when you win the Royal Rumble. She challenged for Charlotte Flair's SmackDown Women's title. The feud wasn't the worst. Let's say it was just a lot of sort of throwing people through tables and a lot of sort of submission exchanges. Like Rousey says, "Oh, I'm going to beat you with the ankle lock, Charlotte Flair, because I was trained by I've had training by Kurt Angle. He was famous for his use of the ankle lock, so I will use the ankle lock on you, Charlotte Flair." I was like, "Oh, I've never submitted. I've never lost. I've got the figure 8, which is the best submission move ever, right?" And even though Charlotte Flair is wrong,
I mean,
she has been submitted before by Sasha Banks 3 times and by Asuka about twice on TV. Yes. So I don't know what she's talking about.
I'm also like, are we going to ignore the fact that Ronda Rousey was famous in UFC for winning by like an armbar, and you think realistically she's going to win by an ankle lock?
Well, no, that was Charlotte's point. Charlotte was like, "Oh, you're just a one-trick pony, Ronda Rousey. All you can do is the armbar. You've got nothing else against me." Whereas bear in mind, I'm technically a one-trick pony because all I ever do is the figure 8. So for submission moves, obviously not counting the natural selection because that's not a submission move, but I suppose that probably attends to the finish of the match, which we'll get to. Yes. So the match, not the longest, went on quite spiffily. It was quite a roller coaster. They threw you in with an armbar at the start. Rousey was trying to get the submission with the armbar, tries to get the submission with the ankle lock, but Flair keeps escaping, keeps going to the ropes, keeps crawling away. Rousey hits the sort of Piper's Pit on her, which is like the spinning slam on her. But then they always, they talk about the power of Bianca Belair, right, in commentary. Here they always talk about the smarts of the Queen, the smarts of Charlotte Flair. She's so intelligent, she's so smart, she's so amazing, right? So we know she's smart. We know she puts her foot on the ropes every time someone does a finisher. we know about this already. So she puts her foot on the ropes, and Rousey's like, she's distraught. As Flair attempts to figure 8, he goes into the figure 4, starts bridging up. Rousey counters by kicking by sort of kicking Flair, I think in the leg or something,
Yeah.
and pushing her towards the ref. Poor Charles Robinson. Poor Lil Nate, which I thought was a bit of weird irony.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That Ric Flair's sort of former stooge, Charles Robinson, little nature boy, Lil Nate, gets taken out by his daughter.
Yes.
Gets pushed to the floor. And we know that the refs in WWE, you're blowing them and they'll be down for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
You know, you sort of look in their general direction and they'll have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So she gets pushed into the ref. The ref goes down. Oh, he's down. He's on the floor. He's incapacitated, right, on the ground. And then we sort of tumble into the finish. Rousey gets the armbar finally on Charlotte, and Charlotte does tap, but the ref doesn't see it, so it doesn't mean that's the end, right?
Yes.
The ref doesn't see it, and then Rousey sort of gets up and tries to get the ref up. She tries to help the ref up, and Flair runs in with a big boot, nails Rousey. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte retains. Right.
Correct.
Now there were several layers to this match. Layer one is that I think this is the same stadium where Flair won the new Raw Women's title when they retired the Divas one, in the triple threat between Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte.
Possibly.
So that's an ode to that as well. It's also an ode to the fact that Charlotte was sort of wearing similar gear, I think similar sort of blue gear as for SmackDown and such. So she was wearing similar gear there. And it's also sort of an ode to the event with the triple threat with Becky, Ronda, Charlotte. The fact that Ronda and Charlotte never got a match.
True.
Even though that match was supposed to be Becky Ronda, wasn't it?
Yes.
And Charlotte was just inserted. But I felt like that did Becky better than anything else. Becky got the sort of 2 belts reign, right? And this, I think the general reaction to this match was quite negative, to be honest. People were.
It wasn't great.
No, it wasn't great. I'm going to give it a 6.
I will give it.
I think it pales in comparison to Bianca Becky.
Yeah.
Bianca Becky was much better than this.
It was.
Even, despite what Ric Flair says, he goes on Twitter and he goes, "My daughter's the best. That was the best women's wrestling match I've ever seen. All right, Rick. Stop taking bumps. I mean, not the bumps you take in the wrestling ring. You know, I'm convinced he's just an insane old man who will go to any length to sort of defame Becky because they've had some sort of weird feud where Becky is now the man and Ric Flair, who is like 112 years old, thinks that he's still the man, even though he looks like a sack of flappy gammon, you know."
Exactly.
Anyway,
it wasn't great.
What will you rate it?
I think I can agree on a 6, maybe a 5.5.
Right. Okay.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. I think that Ronda's sort of return, WWE return, has been defamed by the fact she's done nothing but badmouth the fans since she left last time in 2016 or 2017.
It didn't help.
No. Ever since she left, she's been saying, "Oh, I hate the fans. Oh, it's fake fighting. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, I'm going to go to my farm." You know. Yes. And now she comes back and she's smiling all the time, even though we know that all Vince McMahon tells you to do is smile. If you don't smile, if you don't smile a lot, that's his one thing he tells you to do, to just smile all the time. Because apparently when you're a babyface, you're supposed to have a smile, grin to your face, and you can't do any other emotion.
Exactly.
You can't be mad or angry. You're supposed to be smiling all the time. Like, who am I, the Joker?
I mean, I don't know. It wasn't great. It also ended with a big boot, which is...
but if it was like Mandy Rose or Dana Brooke or someone, sure, maybe I could see you finishing it with a big boot. But Ronda Rousey, I know I know it's one of Charlotte's finishers, but it's like a secondary. It's like what you call a secondary finish.
Yeah, but it's one of those things now where, like, obviously, like back in the old days, unless I'm like an old man. When I was watching Wrestlemania 4 on VHS, which I do own, and I used to watch very frequently, you'd get people like Jake the Snake who'd hit a DDT for a finisher.
Yeah, right? Jake the Snake's finisher with a DDT. I remember that.
That's just a normal move now.
And now DDT wouldn't even get a 2 count in most matches.
The big boot's the same thing. You got people like Kane, Taker, JBL were hitting big boots.
Yeah.
Sid Vicious. So it's just a normal move now. It's just a thing. People do it. Everyone does it. So it doesn't work. Whenever someone does win a finisher, it's very much like, that ended. Oh, okay.
People applaud when a regular move gets a finish nowadays. Like for instance, Brian Danielson in AEW, he has the lapel lock, but he also he's finishing matches with knee bars and stuff and ankle picks and things like that. So people applaud when a regular move gets a finish nowadays. But now it's I think again we can probably do another episode on this, but sort of the finisher culture. The fact that matches like a Canadian Destroyer would barely get a 2.5 count, a 2 count in most matches, where Canadian Destroyers were sort of devastating moves years ago. Right?
Yes.
So, and it's very rare to see the type of moves that sort of evolved and haven't evolved and things like that. I feel like people have gotten more intelligent. Where the fact they want matches to go on longer, they want people to sort of work, where sort of work rate is sort of applauded. That's the word, isn't it? Work rate, as they say.
Yes.
But now you speak of people from the past, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest figures of 80s, 90s, early 2000s wrestling was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Kevin Owens, right? Everyone knows everyone's favorite French Canadian Kevin Owens. Everyone's favorite sort of powerbomb artist, Kevin Owens. He comes out and he's for weeks, sort of unprovoked. For weeks, he starts sort of talking crap about Texas. Like he says he hates Texas. He says that Texas. He says they should never have WrestleMania in Texas. Texas is the worst state of them all. Texas. He hates Texas. He wears a cowboy hat wrong. Yes. He wears a cowboy hat sideways one week. He starts saying how much he hates Texas. He'll cut a promo. He'll look straight into the camera and go, "I hate Texas." Just as a he hates Texas, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't like Texas. And we start getting rumblings and whisperings that, they're going to bring Steve Austin back. I wonder what they're going to do. Kevin Owens keeps bad-mouthing Texas. I guess Steve Austin's going to come in. And then one week, Kevin Owens just comes to the ring and goes, "Steve Austin, I'm going to call you out. I want you to join my talk show, the KO Show, and you're going to be my special guest, and I'm going to tell you to your face how much I don't like Texas." Right?
Yeah.
Then we get, by the way, the promos nowadays, hit and miss, right?
Yes.
Steve Austin, always a hit.
Yeah.
316, everybody loves it, right? The Stone Cold Stunner, everybody loves it, right? So Stone Cold cuts this promo. He's driving out in the desert in his boat. Have you seen this? Have you seen this video?
Yeah, because it's I don't know if I've seen all of it, but I swear it's some of it's on the promos and stuff.
Yeah. Where he drives out into the desert in his doom buggy. He gets out and he goes, Kevin Owens, you are one dumb man if you think you're gonna taunt Stone Cold Steve Austin. You keep bad mouthing the state of Texas. I'm gonna open up a can of whoop ass on you, son.
Yeah, I have seen it because it was on it was played on the Hall of Fame that took place like a week earlier or something from the Wrestlemania.
Yeah. And he says, "Kevin Owens, I'm gonna join you if it's a KO show, it's a match, a fight, a brawl, whatever. I'm gonna come down that ramp and I'm gonna give you a Stone Cold Stunner like you've never seen, baby." That's what he said. And then he delivered. He delivered. But what happened was, KO comes out, Kevin Owens comes out, and he's like, "Right, where is it, Stone Cold? I'm ready. You think it's the bottom line? You think that's what you say? This is what Kevin Owens says. Bring me the fight, baby." And then out. Okay, you get the glass shatter. That's the music.
Yes, correct.
And he comes out. Does he come out in his on his quad bike? Drives out on his quad bike. I think he does.
He. I would say because I'm trying to spoilers.
Right.
You see him again.
You do see him again. You see him on.
And I'm getting because I know the other time you see him, he does.
Right. Maybe he walks. No. I think he walks out.
He does. He walks out.
He comes out on 3:16.
Yes.
3 hours, 16 minutes. He makes his entrance.
Yeah, he walks out. It's the second time you see him. He has the quad bike.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. He walks out. Which I think, and also that's amazing. I don't know whether that was planned or not. But 3:16 into the show, he walks out.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So anyway, here comes Stone Cold. He comes out and he's like, "All right, Kevin Owens, I'm here. What do you want? Well, I'm gonna beat you up like you've never been beat up before." And then then Kevin is like, "Right, Stone Cold. It's an honor to have you here. You know, you're one of my great heroes. You've passed me down. Because Kevin Owens' whole thing was he also uses the stunner, right? And you give me this great move and whatnot. And then, but I didn't actually bring you here to do a KO show. I brought you here to beat you in a no holds barred match, right?
Yes.
So, and this was people say, people. Initially, it said, he's not going to have a match. He's just kind of like a talk show segment. Like, why is a talk show segment main eventing WrestleMania?
Well, that's the thing.
Obviously, it's Steve Austin, but.
I mean, because obviously it was like, it was revealed. I believe Kevin Owens revealed it, and it was revealed later on that he was going to main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which would have been a bit of, again, like you were saying, I was like, well, if it's just a KO show, I was like, he could just hit a stunner at the end and it sends the crowd happy, sure. And he just went and did it. It was like Raw 25, which was like half an hour in the ring, just throwing beers around and stuff.
Right.
Because also, like, spoilers, if he gets the beer, like the mat's wet, if it's the last thing on, they've not got to worry about cleaning them quickly for the next people on.
Yeah, it's his last match since WrestleMania 19 in 2003.
Yes, against The Rock.
It's The Rock. Yeah, he even mentioned it in his promo. He said that the last time I was at WrestleMania, The Rock hit me with 3 rock bottoms. 1, 2, 3. I lost the match. You know, so. But now he returns for a victory. Actually, he ends up defeating Kevin Owens. We'll get into that in a second.
Yes.
They're fighting through the crowd. The match is on. They're fighting through the crowd, and they're beating each other up. And then Steve Austin, he loves his beer. He's got his own brand of beer.
He does.
He gets his beer cans out. He starts smashing Kevin Owens with the beer cans. He starts pouring in beer cans over Kevin Owens' face. Kevin Owens like, you know. And then when they get back in the ring, they're fighting through the crowd. They make a circle. They come back into the ring. Owens does gets an upset, hits a stunner on Austin, but only gets a 2 count. Right?
Yes.
So in the end, I think someone goes through I think Austin goes through a table as well. Like, he's bumping. So good for him.
He is, yeah. He gets I believe he gets suplexed on the outside. Yeah,
suplexed outside through a table, and so he got a chair. Kevin Owens gets a steel chair, and he's like, I'm gonna take you down, Steve Austin. So he swings the chair. I think it's a mirror of what Steve Austin did in one of his matches.
Possibly.
Where he swings the chair, but then it bounces into the ropes and then hits him in the head instead of hitting Steve, because Stone Cold ducks out of the way.
Yes.
So Stone Cold ducks, bam, the chair hits him in the head. He's cracked in the head with a chair. And then Austin gets him, does the kick, does the boom, Stone Cold Stunner, and the art of selling a Stone Cold. Everyone's sold a Stone Cold Stunner in their life, right?
Yeah.
It's the classic. It's the classic way of doing things, where it's what I like to call the Stone Cold Stunner distance.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this concept?
I know where you're going with it. The
Stone Cold Stunner distance is that if you're within like 2-3 meters of Stone Cold, he's legally allowed to stun you.
Yes.
And you can't do about it. You can do nothing about it. It's just going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It could happen any time. But when you're within Stone Cold critical distance, he is allowed to stun you. It's just going to happen. Yes. You can't stop it, right? So obviously Owens got within the stunner distance and got stunned. And then he's down 1, 2, 3. He wins the match. You know, the crowd's happy. Big pop. So then Owens sort of gets up. He's stumbling. Austin comes back in. Boom. Second stunner. And then out comes the Texas police and takes them both away. Yeah. Right? But then after, when the cameras sort of turned off, I believe, Austin came back out and the crowd was, cheering, and he did the toast with a beer, smashed the beers together, did the drinking. He drank like 6-7 beers. I think he needs.
What's the thing?
He's not driving home.
Afterwards, the amount of beers that got thrown to him, and like the amount of like beers he was like cracking open. Like, how many, like, Jesus, man.
He's cracking. He's drinking them like milk. He's just cracking. He's just
to be fair though, he's
left,
like
right,
what?
And centre.
It must be like what, 50, 60 or something. It's his
he's
last
Stone
match.
Cold. He's
exactly.
He's got a great alcohol tolerance. Byron Saxton comes in the ring and he lays out Byron Saxton with a stunner.
He does.
Much to the delight of Corey Graves. He hits a stunner on Byron after a toast. He didn't kick him in the crotch this time.
No.
Like he did last time on Raw. But yeah, and then he closes out WrestleMania Saturday with the crowd home happy seeing Steve Austin. So there we go. I'm going to rate that. I'll give that another 8. Great, fun segment. Kevin Owens is always going to be a hit. Stone Cold's a nice nostalgia pop for the people, and he's back and he's doing his great thing. So
I think an 8's fair.
An 8 is fair. So that's WrestleMania Saturday.
It is.
Do you want to give an overall rating, or do you think our individual ratings sort of speak for themselves? I think the individual ratings speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And any closing words?
Night one. I remember after night one, after kind of what happened, and Cody Rhodes came back, and Stone Cold had a match, which obviously again wasn't confirmed, so it happened. I remember night one being very strong, at least in the end half, and the start was pretty good. And I remember at least being like, night two it's got no chance at this point. Like, why they put this on first? Because night two's it's got what it had. Night two had Knoxville. It had what's the other celebrity one on night two?
It was Pat McAfee.
Yes.
Which we'll get to the night two.
And I was like, it's got Roman and I was like, if something happens with Roman and Brock, that's a massive surprise. Then okay, then yeah, night two might stand a chance. But night one was strong. At least in terms of like, especially in modern manias. Night one was strong. Manias.
So, but my weekly rec this week is actually a match from night 2 of a WrestleMania.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a night from not WrestleMania, because I remember they only started doing this 2-night thing recently. So it's either 36 or 37. It's not 38.
Yes.
It's from WrestleMania 37.
Okay.
And it is a match for the Raw Women's title between Raw Women's Champion Asuka, and continued viewers of the show will know that listeners of the show will know that I'm particularly fond of Australian wrestler Rhea Ripley. And this is her match. This is her time. This is her Mania moment at WrestleMania 37, where she manages to defeat Asuka, who had like a 200-day reign or something like that, as Raw Women's Champion, and defeat her at WrestleMania and become Raw Women's Champion at this event. So it's the full match is on YouTube. It's about 15 minutes. Go and watch it. We know that Asuka's like a tremendous worker. We know Asuka's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We know Rhea's great as well. We know she's awesome as well. Great chemistry. She takes an insane DDT off the apron, which is absolutely mad. But yeah, she manages to overcome sort of the power and speed of Asuka. She uses her own strength as well. She hits that amazing vertical suplex. She does like an elevated vertical suplex off the ropes. She hits those drop kicks. She does like the missile drop kick as well. It's great. We know how good Rhea is. We know how good Asuka is as well. These are two awesome workers. Absolutely tremendous. So that is the weekly rec. It is the Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 37. So the full match is on YouTube. It's 50 minutes long. Go and watch it. It's great.
Fair enough.
And that is my weekly rec. I'm going to rate it 9.5.
Okay.
9.5. So there you go. Because I just love Rhea. I just think she's just such a badass. She looks awesome, great charisma, has the look, has the sort of the feeling. She has an aura. She has this sort of intangible, which I feel is absolutely electric. So there you go. That is my weekly rec. So it's a goodbye from me, goodbye, and a goodbye from Corey.
Goodbye.